Sorry, you just caught me. I was pretending to swim. I like swimming, especially when I'm on holiday. Do you like swimming? I tell you what, let's all pretend that we're swimming. Maybe in a swimming pool or in the sea. Are you ready? Hold your breath and swim. Oh, I do like swimming. I tell you what, I know an animal that's really good at swimming. Can you shout it out for me? What kind of animals do you think are really good at swimming? Fishes. Otters. Yeah. Did you say frogs? I was thinking of frogs too. Frogs are fantastic at swimming. And I have a little song about frogs before we go on to our story time. Put your hands in the air if you like singing. I love singing. Shall we sing the song about the green speckled frogs? I think that's a good idea. So get your 5 green speckled frogs at the ready and sing along with me if you know the words. 5 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Now there are 4 green speckled frogs. Glub, glub. Now we've only got 4 left. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Now there are 3 green speckled frogs. Glub, glub. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Only 3 frogs left. 3 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Now there are 2 green speckled frogs. Glub, glub. Oh, I've only got 2 frogs left. Oh. 2 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Now there is only 1 green speckled frog left. Oh, he's all on his own. Not to worry. 1 green and speckled frog sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Now there are no green speckled frogs. Glub, glub. Yeah! Give yourselves a round of applause. I love that song about the frogs. Glub, glub. Can you make a noise like a frog? Ribbit, ribbit. And you might have guessed it, today's story is all about frogs. But more importantly, it's about somebody called Mrs. Pepperpot, and she learns to swim. And look who's helping her to swim. Ribbit, ribbit. You guessed it, it's a frog. So join me, Jess, as I read you today's story. Mrs. Pepperpot learns to swim. In the warm weather, Mrs. Pepperpot always walked through the wood when she was shopping. In the middle of the wood was a large pool where the village children swam. They splashed about and raced each other up and down. Mrs. Pepperpot always stopped to watch, and she would sigh to herself and think, "Oh, if only I could do that." Because, well, nobody had taught her to swim when she was a little girl. There are all the children. And could you see Mrs. Pepperpot? She's watching, thinking, "Oh, I wish I could swim." Oh, children look like they're having a fantastic time though. One day, when she got home, she decided to practice swimming in the kitchen. She balanced herself on her tummy on the kitchen stool, but when she flung out her arms, she knocked a saucepan of soup off the stove. Oh no! Mrs. Pepperpot, that is not how you learn to swim. In the kitchen, that is not right. Every night she would dream about swimming. One night she dreamed she could do the breaststroke. She stretched her arms forward, bent her knees, and then wham! One foot almost kicked a hole in the wall and the other knocked Mr. Pepperpot out of bed. Whoops. "What's the matter with you?" said Mr. Pepperpot. "I'm swimming," answered Mrs. Pepperpot, who was still half in a dream. "And it's the most wonderful feeling." "Well, it's not very wonderful for me, I can tell you," said Mr. Pepperpot crossly. Oh no, look at Mr. Pepperpot. He's been flung out of bed. Mrs. Pepperpot was dreaming about being able to swim. Oh dear. Then came a bright, warm day when all the village children were going on a picnic in the mountains. "That's good," thought Mrs. Pepperpot. "There'll be no children in the pool today, and I'll have a chance to learn how to swim." And she walked through the wood to the pool. It certainly looked inviting, with the sun shining down through the leaves and making pretty patterns on the still water. She sat down on the soft grass and took off her shoes and stockings. Peering over the edge, she could see the water was very shallow, so she stood up and said to herself, "All right, Mrs. P, here goes." And she jumped in, but just at that moment, she sank. Oh no! So she jumped right in, but maybe it wasn't as shallow as she thought it was. Oh no, Mrs. Pepperpot. And now, of course, the pool seemed like an ocean to the tiny Mrs. Pepperpot. "Help! Help!" she cried. "Hold on," said a deep, throaty voice from below. A very large frog swam smoothly towards her. "You should never jump in a pool if you don't have someone with you," he said. "Now, get on my back." And he swam to a rock so Mrs. Pepperpot could get her breath. Look how big this frog is. He's huge. Oh, luckily he was there to save Mrs. Pepperpot. Who knows what would have happened? You're a very good swimmer," said Mrs. Pepperpot. The frog puffed himself up importantly. "I'm the best swimming teacher in this pool," he said. "Do you think you could teach me to swim?" asked Mrs. Pepperpot. "Of course. We'll begin right away, if you like. Frogs are very good at breaststroke. You climb on my back and watch what I do." Mrs. Pepperpot watched how the frog moved his arms and legs in time. There she is, look. On the back of the frog. He's going to teach her how to swim. That's so cool. Then he found her a little piece of floating wood and told her to hang on to it. And she pushed along with her legs just like the frog had done. After a while, she found herself swimming along without a piece of wood. "Yippee!" she shouted with excitement. Look, there she is. After a bit of practice, she's swimming without her piece of wood. Oh, go Mrs. P. Learning very quickly, but from the best teacher, of course. But the frog, who had been swimming close to her all the time, came up behind her and lifted her onto his back. "That's enough for the moment," he said, and took her back to the rock for rest. Mrs. Pepperpot was feeling so pleased with herself. She wanted to carry straight on and learn the crawl. "Not so fast, my dear," the frog said. "You must keep practicing your breaststroke before you can do other things. But I'll get my tadpoles to give you a show of water acrobatics. How's that?" "Wonderful," said Mrs. Pepperpot. "Come on then, children," he croaked. "I want you to show this lady all your best tricks." And look, all the tadpoles there coming to greet Mrs. P. They're going to do a show for her. Wow. First, the tadpoles swam to the top of the water. Let's pretend we've got our tadpoles and they're going to swim up to the top. So shake that hand. Ooh. So here we go. First, the tadpoles swam to the top of the water. Then they dived to the bottom. Make sure they all dive. Then they wove in and out of the reeds in a beautiful pattern. So in and out, in and out. And then, like aeroplanes doing acrobatics, they rolled over and over and did the loop-de-loop. Round, round and round and round. Ooh, it's making me dizzy. Very good. Well done, everyone. The frog had puffed himself up so much he was nearly bursting with pride. When Mrs. Pepperpot was just standing up to cheer the tadpoles, when she found herself rolling out in what seemed more like a large puddle than a deep pool, she had grown. As she picked herself up and waded out the water to the bank, she could see no sign of the frog or the tadpoles, so she hurried home. Interesting. A few days passed before Mrs. Pepperpot got the chance to go swimming back in the pool. But before she knew it, she was swimming along and she felt very proud. Then she saw that she was being followed. There was the frog, and behind him were all the tadpoles. The frog came to the top of the water and gave a loud croak. "Thanks, Mr. Frog," said Mrs. Pepperpot. "You're the best swimming teacher in the world." There she is practicing, look. And there's the frog giving her a visit, checking how she's doing. She's done very well. Practice makes perfect. "I've told you," said the frog, and with an elegant kick of his back legs, he did a nosedive into the pool, and all the tadpoles followed after. There he goes, very pleased with his work. And that's the end of our story. Well done, everybody. Oh, I loved that story. That was fantastic. And it reminded me again of how much I love swimming. Shall we pretend to swim one more time? Are you ready? Deep breath in and swim. Just like Mrs. Pepperpot and the frog. Oh, fantastic, well done. Well, make sure you join me back for another story some other time, and tune in to all the other things that are going on Non-Stop Kids TV. We've got science experiments, balloon modelling, more stories, quizzes, juggling, magic, everything that you could want. So tune in and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone. Ribbit.